Hello and welcome to Commodity Champions, your weekly dose of what's brewing in the commodity space. I'm Manisha Gupta. Well, after 2 days of deliberations, the OPEC and the allies have announced a sizable 1.2 million barrels per day of cuts. The cuts will last for 6 months and will be reviewed, though, in the month of April 2019. The OPEC in this deal will cut 800,000 barrels per day and the non-OPEC will cut 400,000 barrels per day. Within this, of course, in the allies, when you look, it really is about Russia, Oman and Kazakhstan. So Russia definitely gets more than half of those cuts at 228,000 barrels per day. The crude oil prices have closed the week more than 2% higher after the deal announcement is done. Remember, the crude oil prices have plunged 30% since the month of October, since the supply surged and the global demand growth has continued to weaken. The output from OPEC, Russia and US has increased by 3.3 million barrels per day since the end of 2017 to 56.38 million barrels. That clearly is 60% of global demand that we are seeing right now. So these three major producers is something that you really need to keep an eye on as we get into 2019 as well. But first up, let's hear out the key announcements from the president of OPEC, Suhail Mohammed Al-Mazroui. Let's listen in.
We are proud of, first of all, of our partnership with our friends in from the non-OPEC. The number of countries of interested countries and observers are increasing, which is a good sign. We mentioned that OPEC group is contributing 800,000 barrels per day as a cut, and the non-OPEC will be contributing 400,000 barrels per day. We have agreed and initialed the Charter of Cooperation to be used as a draft for the next stage of finalizing it. We will be forming a drafting committee to deliver the final draft by the first quarter of 2019.
All right, so what is really awaited even now after that announcement is that the first final draft of this will come in by the first quarter of 2019. So there still is a lot desired that we have seen come in from this OPEC and the allies meeting. Remember, it was the OPEC meeting, the 175th meeting between OPEC members, which actually concluded without any announcement as well. And the second day, that was yesterday, on Friday rather, that we saw the OPEC and the allies come together and continue deliberations for much longer than what the timeline really was. But at least what we have on plate right now is the 1.2 million barrels per day of a cut. What it has been in sense of quotas being assigned to various members is something that is still not clear. And as the OPEC president himself was saying, that the final draft of this would only be made available to the world by first quarter of 2019. Let's get analysis done on that then. And Paul Hicken, Associate Director of Oil at S&P Global Platts, now joins us. Paul, thank you so much for joining us. What is your sense? Because clearly the two-day deliberations were anything but easy. We clearly have seen a discord between the OPEC members. How much would you say that it has been difficult for the OPEC members to come to that number, especially given that there has been pressure from the US president and Russia clearly came on board much later?
For certain, it started off bad with Qatar pulling out, and it looks like it's quite acrimonious right now as well. You've got to remember though that these are all producers which are competing with each other for market share. These meetings, everyone is trying to get the best deal for their country out of it, but at the same time recognise that a deal is necessary for everyone to benefit ultimately. And it's that brinkmanship which is being pushed to the limit this time. Iran pulled it off last time, 2 years ago, when they got a special relationship, not exactly exemption, but it got a special deal. And it looks like they're really pushing hard for this time, given they've got sanctions around them again, and they're not going to have the same production limits that they had throughout the deal. So it's really pushing it to that brinkmanship, to the wire.
So, Paul, what would you say? I mean, with the kind of meeting that is just concluded, does OPEC still get it, have it, or is it the US production increase that will continue to weigh into the global markets and, of course, weigh onto the OPEC and the allies' market share as well?
Well, there's probably two things going on here. First, you've got to remember that the type of crude that the US produces is different to a lot of the OPEC crude, which is heavier and sourer. The US crude is lighter, sweeter, and there's often different markets for this crude. But at the same time, the extra barrels coming on from the US is a problem for the oversupply of the market, looking like 12 million barrels a day. And it's a very different situation from this time round to last time. 2 years ago, you had a big stock overhang that had to be cleared. This time, the stock overhang isn't there at the moment. But at the same time, last time, you didn't have the same level of US shale and US production being exported as you do this time round. And once the debottlenecking clears in the second half of 2019, that's going to be an extra issue, an extra challenge for OPEC to overcome. And that's going to be something they've got to really try to factor in the first half of next year, where this is their opportunity.
Paul, what is your sense? Because when you look at this deal on what the communique really has been from the OPEC and the allies, it just says that these cuts would be carried on for the next 6 months, but it would be reviewed in the month of April 2019. So we really are looking at a quarter-on-quarter basis, and the cuts itself would begin only from the 1st of January. So that means there is going to be increase in supplies, as much higher production for the month of December to go on as well. And we are looking at record high production from OPEC, from Saudi Arabia, that is, from Russia, from the US as well. So how long would the output cut really be required to ensure that the supplies are reined in? Or even with the 1.2 million barrel per day of a cut that we are seeing right now, you do see the glut in the global markets continue?
Well, I'm surprised with these kind of limits on these production cut agreements, because OPEC has always been continually reviewing its deal. It's continually changing policy. It meets regularly. They've had the JMMC meetings. They have regular dialogue. Just a few months ago, they changed the terms again, where Saudi Arabia and Russia and UAE all producing at record highs according to S&P Global Platts survey. They've already changed the terms quickly in September, October time. So they do change. So if you're looking at what time that they put on this deal, this is kind of for their own internal dynamics in terms of what's acceptable to certain members about how long it lasts for. But realistically, it's a continually evolving thing. They're looking at the market, looking at how stocks are going, how much US supply is coming onto the market, what's going to happen with Iran's sanctions waivers, whether they're going to be this zero tolerance in the spring after the waivers end, if that's likely to be happening.
Well, absolutely. Paul, thank you so much for joining us. That really is the view coming in from S&P Global Platts. Then they feel that the markets will continue to see higher supplies going forward. And it really is going to be about Russia on how bigger a role that they will continue to play in this whole deal. Joining us now, of course, is Miswin Mahesh. He joins us on the issue of Russia, really. Miswin, thank you so much for taking your time out. What is your sense? Because clearly the two-day deliberations ended only after Russia came on board and came in with a major chunk, a bigger chunk of nearly 2 million, rather 0.2 million barrels per day of a cut coming in. What is your sense? How important an ally will be Russia when you look at for OPEC and for the global markets as well?
I think Russia is certainly the glue that's binding all the other producers at the moment, especially given how the first day of the OPEC meeting, they themselves couldn't really come up with a solution themselves. They had to bring in Russia to really broker that deal. And I think that really highlights how, with Russia producing 11 million barrels per day, around that level, has a very powerful alliance with the rest of OPEC. As you said, I think in terms of Russia actually cutting those barrels, it looks like they'll only be able to cut those barrels in the spring, which is from April, whereas the market needs those cuts right now. And there's quite a lot of uncertainty going into that April-May period as well with regards to both US shale and the Iranian sanctions. So Russia would be beginning to cut when the market may very well be in a very different state as well. So that's something Saudi Arabia and the rest of the members will be trying to bridge.
Ms. Wynn, as we were discussing with Paul as well, and he said that almost all these oil producers are actually competing with each other. But one output producer that we actually missed to talk about really is Canada, and they have committed to an output cut by 9% in 2019. How big does that number look to you? How committed would you say Alberta really is going to be on this? And would this actually put any impact on the prices going forward?
Yeah, I think the Canada one has been overread quite a bit, the headline number of 350,000 barrels per day. In theory, it's a lot less because these producers have been operating well below their break-even, and they've been cutting even on a break-even basis already. The only thing that's happened is the government of Alberta has given a voice to those collective cuts and called it 350,000 barrels per day. And we need to remember this. There's a monthly assessment that's going on as well. And the Alberta government has said once the inventory levels, local inventory levels go below a certain level, they'll start trimming those numbers as well. So it's not like it's going to be 350,000 barrels per day for every single month of 2019. It's going to be a much less number. And as per my balances, it's roughly going to be 150 or 200,000 barrels per day, at least for the first quarter of next year.
Oh, well, that's absolutely not very impactful if that is the number that we actually might see coming in from Canada. But Ms. Wynn, let's talk about the other global cues. And it really has been about higher supplies, but it also has been about what OPEC actually would do going forward in 2019. It also has been about the US Fed. While we are preparing for an interest rate hike for the month of December, there perhaps are more coming in 2019. And then, of course, there is the global trade tensions. There is this China concerns about slowdown, the Chinese yuan itself, the currency play. How have you, factored in an impact on crude oil prices from all of this?
Be a ceiling for oil next year if it weren't for the supply side in itself. And I think that demand slowdown is something that we need to be conscious about for next year, even with the OPEC cut. On prices, I think what OPEC has now agreed doesn't really cause a rally in oil prices. It more so puts a floor for oil prices, is what I believe that they've managed to do. And I think that's probably a solution everyone's happy with, given the economic environment we're in at the moment.
So, Ms. Wynn, let's talk about the prices then. And of course, we have seen them very, very volatile. The last whole month, it has been between 2% to 8% on the higher side as well on the day. We've seen Thursday and Friday actually see 5% of moves as well. At this point, of course, it is about the US rig count as well, which has seen a decline, which has been supportive for the prices. But what is your sense? I mean, we closed Friday with nearly 2 to 3% of gains. For the first week of December, we actually are leading with 3 to 5% gains, depending on which crude variety you are talking about. But given the kind of circumstances that we have right now, with a lot of uncertainty as we get into 2019, what is the price range that you're working with?
So my base case scenario is that Trump will go very hard on Iran once the first bit of sanction waiver window expires, whether it be 90 or 180 days. Things will start to tighten then from the supply side. But the issue again is on the demand side, I am quite bearish. So we might have a situation where these things offset. So there's a slowdown in Iraqi or a slowdown in demand, but also supplies being cut from Iran. And if anything, to bridge the gap, there'll be US production as well. So I think on the whole, all of these big factors can balance themselves towards a price around $70 a barrel is what I'm thinking for at the moment.
All right, $70 per barrel as average for the Brent prices in 2019 does seem like good. Thank you so much, Ms. Wynn, for taking time out for us and analyzing what the OPEC and the allies really have done over their very important meeting. Well, as far as the prices go, we have seen various views come in from the global experts. Citibank, of course, has talked about $57 per barrel as an average price. And then, of course, you have ABN AMRO, which has talked about $90 on the higher side as well. But as the consensus really seems to be building in, it is around that $70 per barrel mark that most experts really are working with. We also spoke with Azleen Ahmed, Argus Media, and asked her about the global oil demand and supply numbers that she's working with for 2019 and also her price forecast for the same year.
I think that the demand numbers right now is a little bit uncertain. Our expectations was that the demand in 2019 would definitely be lower compared to 2018 because of mainly because of the impact of the US trade war with China. The demand figures are a little bit vague because it just depends on to what extent the US will continue with this trade war or whether it will pull back and there will be some sort of agreement, settlement with China. I think that's quite key to where the demand growth is expected to be, at least in the first half of 2019. I think the expectations and the general expectation from the market is that, let's say OPEC, I think that if OPEC agrees to cut 1.5 million barrels per day, we could see Brent prices go up to $70 quite quickly. If OPEC and its allies agree to a 1 million barrels per day cut, I think that we'll see prices at the moment fairly steady, but going up slowly over the next few months to at least closer to $70 towards the end of the year. So I think roughly we're working on about 60s to low 70s kind of level for ICE Brent.
That is looking to increase the number of gas pipelines to boost the amount of oil and gas exports. That's the word coming in from the country's Under-Secretary of Energy, Mike Menezes, in a conversation with Parikshit Luthra about USA's production plans for the coming year and demands from OPEC countries. Listen in.
Joining us today to talk about US-India energy ties is Mr. Mark Menezes, who is the principal advisor on energy policy to the US government. Keeping the internal target in mind, currently, if I'm not wrong, US is producing about 11.7 million barrels per day.
That is correct. Very good.
And what's the outlook for 2019 as far as the production is concerned?
I think we're up to, if I recall correctly, EIA projects even a higher number. I think we're into maybe 12.1 million barrels per day.
Mm-hmm.
And the U.S., you should know, we're not alone in infrastructure issues. We're looking to increase pipelines to get more of the both natural gas and oil out to be able to export even more. Mm-hmm. So we see a positive upside to that.
You know, very ambitious target. You've got OPEC taking place, and the signs are that OPEC nations, along with Russia, want to cut down production by at least 1 million barrels per day or 1.5 million barrels per day. And President Trump has been very vocal. He has been saying that this cannot happen. You have to let the world enjoy a tax cut, world enjoy low oil prices. What's your view currently, and what would be the message to OPEC nations, and what's really your expectation?
Well, our message is the same as President Trump's. I mean, as the Department of Energy, we wholeheartedly support the call for all OPEC nations to continue the production, to keep energy affordable to the citizens of all nations that depend on oil, for their energy sources. I think you see the reaction from OPEC because the U.S. has become such a competitor to the OPEC nations. This is a phenomenon that they have not had to deal with historically. So we see this as positive. When OPEC and Russia are getting together to try to figure out ways to address the fact that the U.S. is producing and affording our partners, allies, countries that share our values, they no longer have to be subject to OPEC, to contracts with OPEC countries. And we hope that they turn to the U.S. We're offering that choice. We're not necessarily guaranteeing the lowest choice, but we're offering a commodity on terms that they can understand, and they do not have to be held hostage by OPEC countries or Russia.
Right. Any plan B if this meeting, if the announcement doesn't go in U.S. government's favor?
Well, I think it will continue to be the plan that we have, that we will produce as much as we can to meet the supply. What we hope is that the demand for U.S.-produced oil continues to be high. And that is one way that we will continue to be able to offset the actions taken by any OPEC countries.
Right. Moving along, to the JCPOA and sanctions on Iran, US government has granted a waiver to 8 nations, including India. What is the conditions under which India has been granted those waivers? What is the time period for that? And if after 6 months India wants to continue importing oil from Iran, is that a possibility? Will the US government be fine with that?
Well, first, let me thank India and recognize that India joins in the U.S. Goal on restricting exports of Iranian oil for the purposes that I think we both share. All of the waivers that the U.S. have granted, are unique to the countries, to each individual country, and to be sure, India has its own unique sets of circumstances. And so the U.S. recognized that, granted the waiver. You are correct. We will review in 6 months. At that point, we will then make decisions based on, the facts and circumstances as they are in 6 months. As you know, our goal is for zero export of Iranian oil. We've made that absolutely clear. We stand by that, and we hope that our partners and friends, help us achieve that goal.
India has been sending this message to OPEC nations, US and all others that we're an energy-reliant country and we need to really keep our consumers in mind. And if we drastically reduce oil imports from Iran or cut them down to zero, it will impact our economy. What does the US feel about this argument?
Well, the U.S. is sensitive, of course, to all countries' arguments about, prices of oil. We are very sensitive to that. I mean, we, unlike other nations, our price of gasoline at the retail pump is tied to the global price of oil. So we are very sensitive to it. We share the same concerns that India shares, and indeed, our economy too is driven on the price of oil. So what we have seen, though, is with the U.S. now being an exporter, it has moderated the prices of oil. We have heard now for the last several months that the price of oil inevitably will go up. And we haven't seen that, have we? It has steadily declined. Supply has increased, demand has continued to increase, and the prices have been moderate. So the economies of all the countries of the world can continue to grow. So we share that view, and we care about it very much. So we'll be looking very closely at what actions are taken, and we're prepared to take whatever steps, we think that we can to
And for the global community, the U.S., considering the amount of oil it's manufacturing today, will really take care of the demand. If there is a cut in imports from Iran, U.S. will fill in that gap.
Well, the U.S. alone, of course, can't produce enough to meet, the global demand. Global demand per day is 95 million barrels per day or something like that. And we're producing 11.7, to give you an idea. So we're up over 10%, right? So the U.S. alone might not be able to. But when you look at all the countries that can produce, and we're calling on those countries to produce, and we're calling on the OPEC countries too. I mean, look, for their revenue income, they have to produce, right? I mean, if they cut production, they know that for every barrel they cut, they are not getting paid, right? Those are lost revenues. So they have to decide if they're going to cut production, they know they're cutting revenues. So the art in this is to figure out how much to produce to meet demand and to keep price at a price that will allow the continued exploration, and export of the oil, of the commodity. So.
Right. Mr. Menzies, thanks very much for speaking to CNBC-TV18.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to this very, very special broadcast. The exit poll numbers are out. What do you make sense of the sample? Do they actually make sense? Do they actually reflect what resonates on ground? On this very special broadcast, we're going to dip into the strength and the depth of the network, of Network 18, of News 18, to try and see if this actually reflects what is actually happening on terra firma. Quickly, let's just have a quick check of the scorecard as of now in the battle for the states. It's 3-1-1 in favor of the BJP. Is it going to remain the same? Are there states that are going to be swapped and that the scorecard remains the same? We have to see. What happens in Telangana, the dynamics. We will deep dive into the numbers and also make a sense of the developments on ground in the state. We have a plethora of experts who I believe are experts because of the hard work that they have done on ground, because they have seen there, been there, done that over decades, and also this time around they have gone and put in the hard yards. Let's just quickly look at all the states and the poll of polls, what the pollsters have predicted as far as the exit polls are concerned. Let's start with Madhya Pradesh. As we put up the numbers for Madhya Pradesh, this is where it looks like. It looks like it's dead heat because two of them give the mandate to the BJP. The other two believe that the Congress will make it away, and perhaps they will all get stuck somewhere like in Karnataka and somebody would have to come in and bail out. That others column, keep a close note because they perhaps somewhere could decide eventually who takes the seat of power. And Shivraj Singh Chauhan may be enjoying himself at a resort right now, but he will have a few headaches if this is what the trend is going to be as far as Madhya Pradesh is concerned. Quickly on Rajasthan. Rajasthan, the story is swaying in favor of the Congress party. But it is not a one-way runaway victory for the Congress as it was predicted earlier. It just looks like the BJP has gained in the last lap. Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi has helped the BJP do a mofara as far as Rajasthan is concerned to try and make it a dead heat as far as some of the pollsters are concerned. But if you go by access and see voter, it's a runaway Congress party. We'll see how it ends and we'll see whether it actually reflects the sense on ground. Quickly, into Chhattisgarh. Once again, pressure on Raman Singh. Will he get more than 46? Most of them believe yes. Some of them believe no. Because if it swings the other way, it will swing really in favor of the Congress party. In Telangana, it is KCR who's coming back. That's what the Telangana numbers look like. Except for one pollster who's saying, that is C voter, that it could get really close between the TRS and the Congress party or the Praja Kutami. Overall, it looks like it is going back into KCR's kitty. Here's another number that we have to share with you, and perhaps you're seeing it for the first time. That is what's happening in Mizoram. There's an interesting dynamic. Amid all the headlines from these 3 or 4 states, Mizoram could make the BJP come out and say that we have made the Northeast Congress mukt because the Congress is facing the pressure. One of the pollsters have come out and said that MNF has got its nose ahead. The MNF has got its nose ahead. Congress 14 to 18, the MNF getting to the majority mark. The second pollster has also said that it is the MNF that has its nose ahead. Now, the MNF is part of NEDA. The BJP contesting in 5 seats has got nothing as far as the exit polls are concerned. Now, this is the other poll. The other poll comes out. NewsX Neta has come out and said that Congress is 15, MNF is 19. Once again, MNF has got its vote, has got its nose ahead. Lal Thanawala might no longer be the chief minister. Congress may be voted out in Mizoram. Let's make sense of these numbers. Here are the voices you're going to hear, the opinions you're going to hear across the News 18 network here on CNN News 18. Bhupen Chaube with us, Shireen Bhan with us, Pallavi Ghosh with us, Maria Shakir with us, the man with the magic on the wall, that is Zaka Jacob with us, DP Satish, Pratik Trivedi, Praveen Dubey, PC Hota. We have a plethora of voices who have put in the hard yards, and they are there here with us. Now, Bhupen Chaube, let me start with you before I bring in Zaka Jacob and we go down state-wise. Do the exit polls stump you?
Yes and no. I think what typically any exit poll does is it just gives you a broad trend in terms of what can you expect on the day of actual counting. If we were to look at it from the point of view of what is a big macro picture, what are some of the key points which emerge from the exit poll, there is without doubt there are some causes of concern for the Bharatiya Janata Party. There are reasons to celebrate for the Congress Party. But the question is this, that has the Congress got enough fuel in its tank this time around to actually pull this across that halfway line? We saw that happening in Gujarat, and it was typically a story of Sonia, yet so far it appeared as if the Congress may end up upsetting the apple cart. Gujarat being the home base of Prime Minister Modi himself. Is the Congress now going to do that just because the BJP has been in power for 3 terms in states like Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh? Right. The one state that we have to look out for very, very carefully, I think, is the state of Rajasthan. There is a consensus. There is a consensus across these exit polls that Rajasthan is going one way, which is in the Congress's kitty. But I can tell you that Amit Shah, who also is a great believer in exit polls and his own numbers, is still insisting that Rajasthan is in the BJP.
Yes, the BJP believes that they still are in the hunt, and perhaps their lead might be shelved or cut down, but they will still get there. They will get past the post. Pratik Trivedi is with us from News 18 India. Pratik, आप तो भैया जी कहीं लेकर वहां घूमे हैं, आपने खाक छानी है राजस्थान की भी, आपको क्या लगता है? What do you think about the exit polls? कैसा लगता?
देखिए, मोर और लेस वो जो एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे थे, अगर स्टेट वाइज बात करें तो लगभग उसके आसपास चीज़ें, तस्वीर और जो पिक्चर है वो इमर्ज हो रही है। ये बात सही है आपकी जो आपने कहा कि राजस्थान में बीजेपी ने लास्ट राउंड गेन किया है, ये बात ठीक है, जो बहुत सारे लोग करें, लेकिन ये पहले जानना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि स्कोर पहले क्या था। अगर 4-1 है और अगर 5-1 था तो कितना गेन कराया आपने, कहां पे पहुंचे हैं। ये बात सच है कि शहर जो हैं राजस्थान के वो बेटर है एज फार एज बीजेपी इज कंसर्न, तो वो वहां पे गेन करते हुए थोड़ा
स्टेट्स की हम प्रतीक
अहेड लग रहे हैं।
स्टेट्स की हम अभी डिटेल में थोड़ी देर में बात करेंगे। मैं बस ओवरऑल सेंस जानने की कोशिश कर रहा था।
ओवरऑल सेंस ये है कि जो पिक्चर आपने इमर्ज की है वो जो आ रही है, एमपी इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट, वो लग रहा है, मुझे लग रहा है कि मार्जिनली बीजेपी इज अहेड इन एमपी, मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है
इन एमपी
थोड़ा सा फॉर्म, दे कैन फॉर्म गवर्नमेंट
इन एमपी, तो शायद स्कोर कार्ड फाइनली वैसा ही रहे, लेकिन स्टेट्स में उलटफेर हो जाए। वील सी हाउ इट वर्क्स। शिरीन भान, आर द मार्केट्स गोइंग टू रिएक्ट टू दीज नंबर्स, द एग्जिट पोल्स ऑन मंडे?
Well, I think the markets will react to the actual numbers and not the exit poll. They will react to what the electorate has voted for. But let's be clear, and we discussed this the last time that I was here, the markets have priced in a victory for the Congress in Rajasthan. Have the markets factored in whether there could be a setback for the BJP in states like Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh? I don't believe that is the case. So will the markets react if this is in fact going to bear out in the final verdict? Yes, there is likely to be a reaction. I'm not going to hazard a guess in terms of the price erosion because leave that to what the markets will eventually do. But I also believe that it's not going to be more than a couple of days, and this is the feedback that we're getting from people, that eventually more than 24, 48 hours later, people are going to start to track what's happening globally, what's happening with oil prices and the OPEC meeting. So this is going to be an event that will be tracked and watched for the next 48 to maybe even the next few days, but beyond that, it's going to come back to global triggers, emerging market
triggers.
Flows,
but closer home, we're going to look at it as a build-up to 2019. So let's just quickly go. Time is of shortage here, as in terms of paucity, limited time, lots of ground to cover. Let's get into the states straight away. Let's get into the states straight away. Let's talk about Madhya Pradesh. What the exit polls predict is that it's not going to be a comfortable win for Shivraj Singh Chauhan, though one or two of them say that he may have numbers close to 130 seats. Praveen Dubey, let me just come across to you. Madhya Pradesh, आपका क्या assessment है? क्या exit polls ज़मीनी हकीकत का mirror हैं या ज़मीनी हकीकत बिल्कुल विपरीत है इसके?
देखिए, जमीनी हकीकत के इर्द गिर्द है, बिल्कुल विपरीत है कहना ठीक नहीं होगा और बिल्कुल मुफीद है कहना भी ठीक नहीं होगा। इर्द गिर्द है। ये बात सही है कि एंटी इनकम्बेंसी थी, 3 बार की सरकार यहां पर शिवराज की थी, लेकिन जो मैं अभी सुन रहा था, अभी जो प्रतीक जी ने भी कहा और भूपेंद्र जी भी कह रहे थे, बहुत संभव है कि बिल्कुल नेक टू नेक फाइट है और हो सकता है कि बीजेपी गुजरात की तर्ज में किसी तरह सरकार बनाने में सफल हो जाए। अभी जो अगर हम 6 हिस्से में एमपी को बांटे, मान लीजिए ग्वालियर चंबल एक बड़ा रीजन है, बुंदेलखंड है, बिंद है, महाकौशल है, मध्य और मालवा निमाड़, तो इन पूरी जगह कांग्रेस की बहुत खराब हालत थी। पिछले बार यदि हम मालवा निमाड़ बात करें तो 66 सीटों में सिर्फ 9 सीटें थी। वो बढ़ेंगी बेशक, सारे एग्जिट पोल भी बता रहे हैं कि बढ़ रही, 30 के आसपास तक हो सकता है बढ़ जाए कुछ हिस्सों में। ग्वालियर चंबल भी बढ़ेगी सब जगह कांग्रेस, लेकिन यह कहना शायद जल्दबाजी होगी कि अभी कांग्रेस कंफर्टेबल तरीके से कंप्लीट मेजॉरिटी के साथ गवर्नमेंट बनाएगी, ये कहना जल्दबाजी है, क्योंकि 40 के आसपास सीटें ऐसी हैं जो बिल्कुल फंसी हुई हैं और जहां नेक टू नेक फाइट बिल्कुल वही निर्णायक होंगी भी।
टाइट फाइट्स की आपने बात की, मालवा रीजन की बात की, अब मैजिक वॉल मुझे याद आता है, तो वी हैव टू कम अक्रॉस एंड ब्रिंग इन Zaka, let's just make sense of the numbers and the regions that Praveen is talking about.
See, I was thinking about this, and we talked about farmer anger, we talked about Malwa, we talked about first time voters, joblessness and so on and so forth. And yet, despite all of this, why does Shivraj Singh Chauhan
do so well. I mean, he's been in power for 15 years. The one factor we have not talked about, certainly not talked about enough, is the OBC-dominated seats. Take a look at this. Pay close attention to this. 67 seats out of 230. That's more than a quarter. BJP in 2013 winning twice as many as the Congress. Look at this. This is the Mahakaushal region. This is all BJP. This is all OBC-dominated seats. This is all BJP. Again, a cluster of seats here, all BJP. Now, here's the interesting thing. And Bhupen Chaubey, you might want to pay attention to this, because out of those 67 seats, how many seats does Shivraj Singh Chauhan have influence? 64 of those 67 seats. 64 out of 67 seats, the Chief Minister holds sway. All of this. Sea of saffron. Up here, sea of saffron. Down below, sea of saffron. If Shivraj Singh Chauhan has to lose this election, he has to lose these seats. We'll know on Tuesday if he's losing these seats.
Absolutely. Just come in, Bhupen, Maria and Pallavi, and we'll bring in Praveen Dubey also. We just stay with Madhya Pradesh another 2 minutes. Yeah.
So let me say this, and I've said this on Shireen Ban's channel, CNBC-TV18, a couple of days back. I've tweeted about this as well. I cannot see the Congress party winning the state of Madhya Pradesh. Let me be very straight about it.
Big claim. 3 out of 4 exit polls have given it to Congress.
I'm willing to hedge a bet.
You either die a hero or you will live on as a villain, Bhupen Chaubey.
I'm willing to hedge a bet, but I'll give you the reason for that. And I think you've just triggered off. You just triggered it off. What is happening is, if you were to look at it purely mathematically, statistically, in the last 15 years, in that region that Zaka Jacob is talking about and the region adjoining that, in the Malwa belt, there are 46 seats which have never been won by the Congress party. The difference between the leads of the BJP and the Congress is roughly 6%. Every time the BJP wins over the Congress, and I'm talking about statistical mean of the last 2 decades, the gap is 8%. Every time the Congress wins over the BJP, the gap is a mere 2%. You're talking of a total mountain to be climbed here.
This again is the supposed rural distress belt. Malwa has Mandsaur, which saw the farmers protest, but that happened 1.5 years back. So in the last 1.5 years, there have been 3 crops. I'm emphasizing on that because every time, because Zaka has made that point that whosoever wins Malwa in many ways wins the state of Madhya Pradesh. In that context, I would agree with Bhupen, because on ground you're not sensing that anger against Shivraj Singh.
In one line, you want to bring in Praveen on that one. The truth is that Shivraj Singh Chauhan is not the villain of this piece. And Kamal Nath plus Digvijay Singh plus Rahul Gandhi plus Jyotiraditya Scindia are not the heroes of this piece. In that kind of a scenario, the party which has more machinery on the ground, which has more boots on the ground.
Let's bring in Praveen Dubey and then I'll bring in Pallavi Ghosh, because the Congress quietly is breaking ground. It is now catching up with the BJP, and we have seen this. It started with Gujarat, with Karnataka, where they should have been in the lead, but they lost it. They came down to 77 seats. But is there a story going for the Congress party in Madhya Pradesh? Praveen Dubey, आप क्या कहेंगे? आप सुन रहे हैं सबकी बात. What is your assessment? What's going for the Congress? What's going for the BJP on ground?
जी हाँ, बिल्कुल मैं सुन रहा हूँ. बिल्कुल मैं सुन रहा हूँ. भूपेन जी जो बात कर रहे थे, मैं उनसे सहमत हूँ बिल्कुल इस बात को लेके कि इस तरह से शिवराज की विलन जैसी इमेज अभी तक हुई नहीं. जो भी एंटी इनकम्बेंसी थी वो ठीक है, इंडिविजुअल के खिलाफ थी, अलग अलग पॉकेट में थी, लेकिन गवर्नमेंट के खिलाफ या शिवराज कोई ऐसा चेहरा नहीं था कि जिससे हाहाकार होता. लोग जिस तरह एक बार दिग्विजय सिंह की गवर्नमेंट यहाँ से गई थी, तब बहुत गुस्सा था लोगों के मन में दिग्विजय के लिए. ऐसा गुस्सा बेशक शिवराज के लिए नहीं था. दूसरा, जो मालवा में जो बात कही मंदसौर गोलीकांड वाले मसले को भी लेके, किसान नाराज अलग अलग इलाकों में अलग अलग वजह से थे. हमारे एमपी में अलग अलग हिस्सों में अलग अलग तरह की खेती होती है और अलग अलग मुश्किलें किसानों की हैं, तो उनकी नाराजगी की वजह भी अलग अलग थी. कुछ को एड्रेस सीएम कर पाए शिवराज, कुछ को नहीं कर पाए. बाकी जगह जो यदि मान लीजिए कांग्रेस को एज है तो वो बाय डिफॉल्ट है. बहुत ज्यादा प्रयास कोई कांग्रेस ने किया हो, यदि अगर आप देखें, मेरे पास एक रैली की लिस्ट भी है कि कहां कहां किन किन लोगों ने ज्यादा रैली की, तो कमलनाथ तो मूव भी नहीं किया ग्वालियर चंबल इलाके में क्योंकि वो सिंधिया का इलाका था. सिंधिया महाकौशल में मूव नहीं किया, एक भी उन्होंने रैली नहीं की क्योंकि वो कमलनाथ का इलाका था. तो ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि कांग्रेस ने बहुत आक्रामक तरीके से प्रचार किया है.
नहीं, पर ये उनके लिए फायदेमंद भी तो हो सकता है कि तुम अपनी जगह, मैं अपनी जगह, कौन कितना जीतता है उसको कंसोलिडेट करते हैं. Pallavi, what was the Congress strategy? Praveen, sorry.
I don't agree. I'm sorry with Praveen on that. First, so Congress did realize that Shivraj Singh Chauhan is not the villain. They did know that very well, which is why they tried to pick on other issues. That's one factor. Second, this is the Congress's style. It's a new experiment they've tried. If they win Madhya Pradesh, that's an experiment which is going to be there to stay with them.
whichever is your strong areas, let's concentrate on that. That's my beat
That was
Saturday.
तुम
Like
अपनी
we
जगह,
all do.
तुम अपने
Like
घर में
me as
focus
journalists
करो,
do. What is my stronghold is what I'm going to concentrate on. That's exactly what they've done. I have for the first time seen a little close coordination between Kamal Nath and Digvijay Singh. Digvijay Singh still has an advantage because he's been the CM of the state, so he knows the people on the ground, many of them by name, and that matters when you go out and speak. Kamal Nath, the money, you know, those are the very important factors.
Who's going to be the CM? Congress have they decided now that they're celebrating victory, already putting out banners outside the Congress.
That's the thing with the Congress party. Even Rahul Gandhi doesn't know who's going to be the chief minister.
But Kamal Nath has already got the cabinet sorted.
If the Congress party is watching this, that is Pallavi Ghosh who said this. Nobody else. Neither Bhupen Chaubin nor Anand Narasimhan made that comment. If Priyanka Chaturvedi especially is watching that, Bhupen, we have to say that, isn't it? All right, it's all in fun. But let's move on. We've got multiple states to cover. We've had a sense of Madhya Pradesh. Let's now talk about Chhattisgarh. PC Ota with us in Chhattisgarh. Chhattisgarh again कह रहे हैं कि रमन सिंह जी का स्कोर जो है वो 49 से तो कम होता दिख रहा है, लेकिन कुछ लोग कह रहे हैं पीसी ओटा जी की कांग्रेस का स्कोर 55 से ऊपर जाएगा. आपका क्या सेंस है और क्या फैक्टर है जो सबसे ज्यादा उनके लिए काम कर रहा है, कांग्रेस पार्टी के लिए, या काम नहीं कर रहा है?
If I'll put it like this, look at the Maoists. Maoists have picked up weapons in the name of farmers in 1964. And today, Maoists are talking about capitalist, the American capitalism and all those things. They have stopped taking up the issue of farmers. But this election, it was more concentrated on the farmers. Agrarian issues were again brought into the center stage, at least in Chhattisgarh. You will be surprised to know Chhattisgarh is perhaps one of the states where the rate of interest for the agriculture loan is 0. And in spite of that, when Rahul Gandhi announced, if we will come to power within 10 days, we will write up the entire farmers loan, and the petty price per minimum support price for the petty will be 2,500. People stop selling their petty to the government procurement centers. This is something else which we need to ponder upon. Second point I'm talking about, Chhattisgarh don't divide into Sarguja region or Bastar region or Doj. Let us divide it into 3 parts. One is tribal, one is scheduled caste, and one is OBC and general. Tribal have 29 seats. And out of 29, Congress has 18 seats. And when it comes to, and they have, the tribals have 10% to 80%. They have 66 seats.
Well, PC Ota, now that you're breaking these numbers, I'm going to call Zaka Jacob again. Let's break it up on the magic wall and make more sense.
I'm the call a friend on this show. I'm the
phone a friend,
guy
phone a
with
friend.
the phone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what
you
do
got
you
all
want?
of that broken up, isn't it? Naxal affected, Maya Jogi factor, tribal seats. So,
just to correlate to what Mr. Hota was saying, the Naxal affected seats, and I have to put this into context. This was 2013, 6 months before the 2013 election. There was a massive Naxal attack. A whole bunch of Congress leaders were killed, including senior Congress leaders, Mahindra Karma, the Congress chief at that time. Look at all of those seats. 6 months after that, Sukma, Congress win, Naxal affected. Chitrakoot, Naxal affected, Congress win. Dantewada, Naxal affected, Congress win. Bastar, Naxal affected, Congress win. This was 2013. But in 2008, the exact opposite picture. This entire belt is a sea of saffron. Dantewada, BJP win. Jagdalpur, BJP win. Bastar, BJP win. So clearly, I think the key in this election in Chhattisgarh, and this is why pollsters have not been able to get it right, is how is this belt going to go? This belt has swung wildly. In 2008, saffron surge. In 2013, it's a blue wave. How will this change? And with this great unknown, Maya Jogi factor, how will this change? We don't know.
The two parts of what you're saying, Zaka, and we'll come to the Maya Jogi factor in a moment. Just on the point of Naxal affected seats, I'm thinking of the statement, Anand, which was made by Raj Babbar, by the way.
Yes.
And what did he say?
Revolutionaries.
Revolutionaries. Maybe you want to ask
well,
Mr. Hota, was that a part of some strategy?
No, because he was trying to say this time it's not about Naxals, but it's about farmers.
Anand,
PC Hota, Ji.
Anand, I have something else. When you were talking about, I was divided into 3 parts first. Because I was talking about the tribals, I was talking about the scheduled caste, and I was talking about the farmers. If we are talking about the Maoists, why people have voted to BJP in 2003 and 2008? 1998, Digvijay Singh came to power because of Bastar. Because Bastar voted for Congress that time. Otherwise, in Madhya Pradesh, Digvijay Singh was washed out. And in 2003-2008, it was voted for BJP because people felt they wanted to wipe out Maoists, they wanted to solve the issue.
Right.
But 2013, just before this election, Mahendra Karma was the icon who was fighting against the Maoists.
Right.
And the way brutally he was killed at
Yes.
the assassination of entire top leadership of the Congress, people thought BJP failed to provide them the security they were expecting.
Right.
And that was the reason why they voted against the
Against the
ruling
BJP.
party. And that was the reason why out of 12 seats,
Point taken.
Congress won 8
Right,
seats.
PC Otaji,
This time,
I have the constraint of time, so I'm
I was
sorry.
there in even CNN.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but how much is the Maya Jogi factor going to come into play?
Anand,
and as
Anand,
you
the last point.
No, as
Anand,
you talk
if you'll
about
permit me 30 seconds.
Ji, I'm coming back to you only, but talk
Anand,
about
30
Maya
seconds,
Jogi.
if you
Talk about JCC Plus also, and as you do that, I'm going to ask Zaka to call up the Maya Jogi factor.
Yes,
and let's
that is
see.
what. Last
as
point
you,
is that is
Ji,
what
as
Maya
you talk
Jogi-
about this, can we have the magic wall also? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, PC Ota.
Yeah, we have 10 seats which is reserved for scheduled caste. And everybody was thinking last time BSP had secured 4.27% votes. But nobody is talking about that 4% vote that went to Nota. Why the Nota was just because people were not happy with BJP and they didn't want to go to Congress, they voted for Nota. And BSP, if you talk about this 10 scheduled caste seats, out of 10, 9 went to BJP and only 1 went to Congress. This time, what will happen to that? Because 55 seats, there are 55 seats in which scheduled caste have.
Right.
10% to 30%, they have size of voters. So now, people were expecting what had happened to Jogi.
Right.
What had happened to Jogi? Just
Let's just
people thought
as you're talking,
Jogi
let's just
might
put the
go
magic
with-
wall up, because Zaka has already called up the Maya Jogi factor and the sphere of influence as far as Chhattisgarh is concerned. PC Ota, talk through. Yes, complete what you're saying, and then Zaka, you take it from PC Ota. Yeah. Yes, PC Ota, you're saying.
Yeah, what I'm saying is people thought initially Jogi could do some kind of wonder. But there was a murmur among the people that Jogi could go with BJP. And there are pockets where people didn't like to go with. Baspa might win 2 to 3 seats. But even in 1998, they have 4 seats.
Right.
Look at, they have always owned or they have a sizable pockets in 3 to 4 seats. And Kasi Ram had begun his political career from Chhattisgarh. He contested 1984 Lok Sabha election from...
Right, Zaka. Just take that forward from...
so here's the thing. I'm going to leave... So 40 seats where the Maya Jogi factor could come into play. I'm going to leave the southern part because that's the Naxal-affected belt. What about the northern part? And again, look at this. There's a whole bunch of seats that the Congress won. Rampur, it's an ST seat won by the Congress. Constituency number 19, Dharamrajganj, ST seat won by the Congress. Sitapur, ST seat won by the Congress. Lundra, ST seat won by the Congress. You have Ramanujganj, again ST seat won by the Congress. What the Maya Jogi factor has done is you have a powerful tribal leader and a powerful Dalit leader coming together. So at least in these reserved constituencies, and Mr. Hota is right, you have a whole bunch reserved for SCs and a whole bunch reserved for tribals. There could be a substantial factor in these seats. And whose vote are they going to take away? They're certainly going to take away the Congress vote, not the BJP vote. That's why the Congress needs to be worried about Maya Jogi. And that's why most pollsters have not been able to accurately predict which way the state of Chhattisgarh is going to go.
What is working for the Congress party in Chhattisgarh? Because they're a divided lot, Pallavi. I just want to bring you in quickly. Yeah.
I don't know. They're very surprised. I'm very surprised. They actually are very confident of the Chhattisgarh factor. But I think they're very confident of the farmers thing. The fact that which Hota was pointing about, the fact is that Jogi is being seen as someone who could hop over to the BJP. That's what they're going to try and cash in on.
I'll tell you what the problem with Chhattisgarh, and that the reason why pollsters are kind of unwilling to hedge their bets. Look at the straightforward numbers. Hotaji says that the BSP got 4 seats last time, 4% vote. Look at what's happening right now. Ajit Jogi himself is in the fray. His wife Renu Jogi is in the fray. His daughter-in-law is in the fray. That's 3 seats. Now, if the BSP is to get 3 to 4 seats, if Ajit Jogi is to get, let's say, 3 of these seats, you're talking about 7 seats in an assembly where the full strength is only 90. The other point is that on the specific question of only the Congress being damaged by the scheduled caste vote, I don't think that holds true now. The reason is that if you look at the national picture since the arrival of Narendra Modi on the national stage, the BJP has been a beneficiary of slight movement of this Dalit vote, of this tribal vote in state after state. to argue that in Chhattisgarh it's only the Congress party which is being damaged by movement of this vote towards this alliance, I think would not be an accurate statement.
Bhupen, because there are so many talking heads, I tend to forget that Pratik Trivedi is also with us. Pratik Trivedi has been on ground. Pratik, आप बताइए छत्तीसगढ़ का सूरत हाल.
बहुत difficult, of course बहुत difficult है. जहाँ पे चुनाव खत्म हुआ था 2013
आप बीच-बीच में चहकते रहिए प्रतीक, क्योंकि मैं भूल जाऊंगा. हाँ, बोलिए.
हाँ, सॉरी, मैं ये कह रहा था कि 2013 के जो रिजल्ट आए छत्तीसगढ़ में, अगर वहां से लाइन ड्रॉ करें, वहां से लें, तो चीजें बदली नहीं है. और अगर आप बीजेपी के किसी भी लीडर से बात करें छत्तीसगढ़ में और उसके ऑफ द कैमरा बात करें, तो वो यही कहता था कि टेल मी अबाउट जोगी एंड बीएसपी फैक्टर, आर दे फाइटिंग गुड. तो ये सवाल जो है, व्हाई दे आर आस्किंग, बार बार वो क्यों पूछते हैं,
वो दोस्त
इसका सवाल यही है.
ये तो बताइए प्रतीक जी, आप इतना घूम के आए, ये बताइए कि अजीत जोगी दोस्त किसके हैं? मैं सुनता हूँ रमन सिंह के भी दोस्त.
हाँ, ये मैं आ रहा हूँ, मुझे मालूम है ये सवाल पूछा जाएगा और ये सवाल पूछा जाना चाहिए. ये जायज सवाल है और ये सवाल मैंने जोगी जी से पूछा. ये सवाल तो मैंने जोगी जी से भी पूछा कि क्या होगा, और यही सवाल मैंने रेनू से पूछा. तो रेनू जी ने बोला बड़े सॉफ्ट, वो कभी कांग्रेस को क्रिटिसाइज नहीं करती, वो सोनिया जी को बार बार धन्यवाद देती हैं. और जहां तक जोगी जी का था, जोगी जी ने कहा तो मैं तो अपनी रेनू से बहुत पहले से कह रहा था कि वो आ जाए, नहीं आई और अब आई हैं. तो ये सवाल ये है कि कांग्रेस को लॉस हो रहा है अगर वो वोट परसेंटेज कट रहा है, लेकिन अल्टीमेटली फायदा कहां हो रहा है, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है.
अच्छा प्रतीक, एक बात बताइए, आपने कहा आपने अजीत जोगी से बात की, क्या वो कुमार स्वामी जैसी मंशा बना के रखे हैं? ऐसे उनके होप्स हैं कि कांग्रेस थोड़े से रह जाए और सीएम हम बन जाएं?
ये देखिए, वो चीजें अर्थमेटिक है, लेकिन फाइनली जो आप कह रहे हैं ना कि लॉस, जो भी बात हो रही है अभी, जो होता कह रहे थे कि लॉस कहां, कांग्रेस का वोट बैंक थोड़ा सा डैमेज हो रहा, 4.6% था, लेकिन फाइनली फायदा किसको हो रहा है? कांग्रेस को हो रहा है ना, कि नहीं हो रहा?
दिल्ली के गलियारों में जो चर्चा थी ना,
वो फॉर्मेशन होगा.
दिल्ली के गलियारों में जो चर्चा थी वो ये थी कि अजीत जोगी जी बहुत माहिर खिलाड़ी, उन्होंने गेम क्या किया है भाई बीजेपी के साथ. तो देखिए, चीफ मिनिस्टर्स पोजीशन इज नॉट नेगोशिएबल, दैट्स नॉट पॉसिबल. इफ ही वांट्स टू सपोर्ट द बीजेपी, गेट हिज वाइफ टू बी द डेप्यूटी चीफ मिनिस्टर. If the Congress is willing to make him the chief minister in the event of a hunger strike, if the Congress is desperate,
Congress is the longest serving chief minister.
Yes.
You know, let's not forget that Raman Singh is the longest serving chief minister of the BJP. So he has been in power for way too long.
Right.
To just say that he will be able to give up his chief minister.
Yeah, it's not happening.
That's not happening.
Exactly.
That is the reason why he moved towards them.
There is a lot of investment riding around Chhattisgarh. There was a lot of money that was being pumped into that state, and there's a growth story being sold. If the BJP loses, does the overall Vikas narrative of the BJP get?
I don't think so.
It doesn't.
Let's talk about the fact that, you know, whether it's Telangana or Chhattisgarh or
we'll talk about Telangana next.
I mean, all of these states have done well on the so-called ease of doing business numbers and so on and so forth. But I think state after state, every incumbent chief minister and an aspirational chief minister realizes that if you don't deliver on the aspirations on the ground, then the next election you're going to be booted out. So I think people are mindful of that. This is, of course, you're seeing the freebies being doled out state after state, whether it's the BJP or the Congress. So there's no difference between the Congress and the BJP when they try and do the freebie number. But I think everyone realizes now that if you want to retain power, you have to start delivering on the promise of jobs, on the promise of investment, and whether it is the BJP or the Congress, everyone realizes that.
Well, Sanjay Baru was very upset that we didn't talk about Telangana at length, saying that that is a story, that's a state that has always defined the narrative, changed the course, political discourse, even at the center in the past it's done. And why didn't you discuss Telangana? So let's discuss Telangana. DP Satish, hello to you. Thank you for your patience. What is going on ground in Telangana? Is the Praja Kutumi making an impact, or is it just jelly chatter, which believes that the Congress and Chandrababu Naidu are having an impact on ground where KCR holds sway?
Anand, in Telangana, fight was between official Praja Kutami led by Congress and TDP, and also unofficial Praja Kutami led by TRS, BJP, and also backed by All India, that MIM of OIC brothers. Because it was the allegation in Telangana, because I was there for over a week. If at all KCR wins this election, the credit should go to Chief Minister KCR himself, because it was KCR versus rest in Telangana. Because KCR dissolved assembly in September, hoping that he was going to return to power. After that, Chandrababu Naidu shocked KCR by joining hands with Congress. It was unthinkable till the first week of September. KCR was under the impression that Chandrababu was going to back Congress unofficially, but Chandrababu joined the Praja Kutami. And after that, Congress campaigned aggressively across Telangana. both Chandrababu Naidu and Rahul Gandhi together.
Okay, let me ask you this.
15 rallies.
Let me ask you this, Satish. Did the Yogi Owaisi fight help KCR?
And
did the Yogi Owaisi fight help TRS? Did the Yogi Owaisi fight help TRS? Did Yogi and Owaisi having a go at each other help TRS?
It might help. See, it might help because in the last 1 week, BJP campaigned aggressively. Yogi Adityanath came there, then Mr. Narendra Modi came there, Mr. Amit Shah came there, Rajnath Singh came there, all of them campaigned. And all of them campaigned mainly in and around Hyderabad. There are 27 seats. In these 27 seats in Rangareddy and Hyderabad district, KCR won just 2 seats last time. And in 27 seats, MIM won 7 seats.
Yes.
BJP won 5 seats with the help of TDP last time.
Right.
And Congress and TDP together won 12 seats last time.
Right.
But in these areas, BJP campaigned aggressively to eat into anti-TRS votes.
Satish, pause. Phone a friend time. Phone a friend time. Phone a friend time. Zaka Jacob, activated.
Computer G lock
Computer G magic ball ko lock kiya jaye.
I think the point that DP is alluding to, and I think it's an important factor, because in the last week of campaigning, if you look at what Chandrasekhar Rao was saying, this was when Chandrababu Naidu, Rahul Gandhi had a joint rally for the first time in history and so on. This is the greater Hyderabad region. A bulk of the seats that the Congress won were in the outskirts of Hyderabad. This is largely where the Andhra people had settled. So Chandrababu Naidu campaigned here. This is 25 seats. This is the 25 seats
Greens
that Satish is talking about.
The
Greens are in the inner city. This is the old city of Hyderabad. I'm talking about the outskirts. The old city of Hyderabad, 7 out of 8 seats, Owaisi's party controls. But the outskirts, the greater Hyderabad seats were won by the Congress, and the TDP in those 25 seats fielded 12 candidates in those 25 seats. So what does KCR do? He comes in and he says, here is this man, Chandrababu Naidu, who was anti-Telangana, who was anti the people of Telangana. He whips up Telangana pride. So he's hoping that the TDP doesn't make an inroad in those dozen seats. So clearly, there was a bit of the, just as Yogi and Owaisi was sparring off, there was also that Telangana versus Andhra thing that was sparked off again in the last week of campaign.
I just make a quick point that I had the TDP spokesperson in the studio last night, and he was very clear. They have a survey done as well, which apparently is the be-all and end-all of surveys in Telangana, and they were clear it's 65 plus in favor of the TDP Congress combined. But if that is in fact the case, then this will be an interesting sort of outcome for the role that Chandrababu Naidu will play. Can he emerge as the pivot and the anchor of this so-called other parties coming together? That could be interesting if it does in fact go in favor.
What is interesting is Ahmed Patel spent a lot of time in Telangana. What is interesting is that the BJP has a strategy for Telangana for Lok Sabha 2019, because there are 17 Lok Sabha seats, of which they have only 1. Maria, what is the BJP looking for this time here?
I think they have ceded space there. And very strategically, as BJP leaders say, that they decided to cede space for a simple reason. They understood that they are looking at a scenario, post-poll scenario in 2019.
Right.
And KCR has given enough indications. First, he talked about federal front. Then he chose to not be part of any of the fronts. And right now, he has given enough indications that he will be open to the idea of
if there is something meaty that is given to him at the center.
Actually, Anand, when he said that this state of Telangana is very, very important, this round of assembly election, I'll tell you why. So look at the Congress's position. The Congress is in an alliance in the rich state of Karnataka.
Yes.
Look at Telangana, right? That's where the real money is, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. If the Congress, if this Mahakutami was to come to power, not only will you end up getting a template of an alliance which could be replicated in other states, but you will also get hold of a state where a lot of cash. Yes. It's all about the cash as we move towards 2019.
But also, Telangana win for a TDP and a Congress party is going to have a very important repercussion. Then the Congress will now follow unlikely partners alliances. That's one. And second, I don't quite agree ceding space, because the BJP never had a space in Telangana. They would rather that Mahakutami loses and a TRS win. So that's one.
Well, there's a lose-lose arrangement. Imagine that KCR is leaning towards the BJP. KCR is also in a loose arrangement with the AIMIM. Politics makes for very, very strange bedfellows, ladies and gentlemen. We'll take a very, very short break on that note. Compulsions. When we come back, Shripalji is joining us from News 18 Rajasthan. Karishma Hasnath with the latest as far as Mizoram. There is a story spinning there. Lots